Hello, this is the Ramblings of an Indisciplined Mind podcast for Wednesday, October 12th, 2016. I thought I'd talk a bit more about the rest of SiglerFest today. The second day had some fun things. We played some games, and they were very strange games. One of them was called What Did You Say? And, you know, orthodontists have these implements that they'll put in your mouth that pull your gums back to display your teeth. So, like when I was getting my braces, my orthodontist used this to, to take pictures of the teeth. And somebody there brought a bunch of these things. And so we broke up into teams and we put these things in, and then they would give us show us a card, and we had to say what it said, and sometimes the results were rather hilarious. So we did a couple rounds of that, and I played that once. And it was interesting just because you're trying to just talk normal, but you can't because your lips are all pulled away from your teeth and your lips can't touch. So that was kind of fun. And then there's another game called What'd You Say? And that was one person, and Scott played. It was always Scott and somebody else. So the first round was Scott and A, and then they brought some other people, including the wife. She went up and played, and I posted a hilarious video of part of her time up there. But they would put, one person would have headphones on that were playing heavy metal music. I think they had AC/DC going. So that you couldn't really hear what was going on, you couldn't hear anything around you. And then the other person had a phrase, and sometimes it was nonsensical, and sometimes it was rather long. I think John Viscara was making these things up again, and because like one of them was something along the lines of, this isn't it exactly, but it was something along the lines of, my favorite color of the alphabet is 3, something like that, so that you couldn't just deduce it out because it was nonsensical, and that was quite fun. And then we did a table reading of Blue Balls Part 2. And what Blue Balls is he's got this character in the Nocturnal books called Pookie Chang, who's a cop. He's also kind of silly, and he kind of he's got this idea for a buddy cop show called Blue Balls. And so he's written a script for the first episode. And it's really funny if you read the book, because it all revolves around Pookie, and everybody thinks Pookie's so great. So it's kind of like his fantasy of life. And he had done this before, and then he with the script, and then he had added on to it, and added more to it. So this was Blue Balls Part 2, because it included the added on bits. And that was a lot of fun. I actually got to play a small role in it, which was cool. I got to do a voice, and so yeah, hopefully maybe that'll be dropping on the Sigler feed as a Friday fix. And then we did some other things. What else did we do? I actually brought the thing today. Oh, he also did a live reading of a story called Dangerous Prey. And it was interesting because this is actually a story that's not in the Siglerverse. Most of his stuff resides in the Siglerverse. It all kind of ties together. And this is actually going to be a short story for an anthology that is set in the Alien universe. And it was quite interesting. he did a lot of research on animal and insect behavior, and he was looking at the behavior of the xenomorphs, predominantly from Aliens, the second movie, but also from Alien. And he said, okay, so they're doing this behavior, and that is actually, with some research and with some help from a scientist he knows that works in bugs and whatnot. He said, okay, so that's an example of this type of behavior. And so he told the story from the viewpoint of the xenomorphs. And it was quite interesting. It sounds like he's going to have to cut some of the stuff. This was kind of the first draft. Probably not his first draft, but the first draft that he submitted. And it was a bit more well-defined than they really wanted, the producers at Warner Brothers. So that they were kind of like, well, we never said that. It's like, well, you showed this behavior at this point in the movie, but they want a little more vague. They want some wiggle room for the future. So, but that was an interesting story, and I think it will probably be a little bit better served with a little bit less of that anyway, because there's no, the xenomorphs don't talk, so there's really no dialogue. It's all exposition. It's all being told, well, you are experiencing what the xenomorph experiences. There's no speaking to kind of break it up. But it was an interesting story, and it leaves to Scott to kind of take it from the monster's point of view. So that was neat. And then Saturday was capped off with bowling. We went up and we bowled for 3 hours, and 3 hours is a lot of bowling, man. I think we bowled, I don't know, the first game we had 6 of us that were bowling, including the wife, and we bowled that game, and then the wife actually hurt her back a little bit, so she stopped bowling, and this other couple stopped bowling, so 3 of us were bowling, and we bowled the rest of the time. And that was fun. They brought some pizza and stuff in, which, and we had a good time. Sigler was there, of course, and then he went off in a huff, air quotes, and came back as his cousin Frankie, who I've heard podcasts with Frankie before. He's from Jersey, and he seems to call most everybody Jimmy. Like there was a guy I was bowling with who's from Canada, so we always called him Jimmy Canada, and I was just Jimmy. And he's got on like this orange Adidas tracksuit and an orange plaid hat, like Trilby, I think. But so that's fun. Frankie's a fun guy. And we bowled for 3 hours, and then we went to the bar, and we're there. We actually didn't stay super late because we were flying out the next morning, but we had a lot of fun. One of the things is, we all had badges, and the badges were Scott Pond designed the badges, and he did an excellent job. They're really cool, and his theme, apparently every year they have a theme, and the theme this year was a role-playing game. So you got your badge, and it had your name, and you would, there had been a call, they had sent an email out like a week before SiglerFest saying, hey, tell me some things about yourself, what do you do, whatever. And so you had 3 abilities that were on there based on that information, and then you could add one. And so, yeah, this is better. And so I had Transmogrifier of Data for my day job. I had Crafter of Imaginary People. And the last one was Hypnotic Eye Wiggler. And then the one I added was Blinding Chrome Dome. And then you were given 10 points, and you had to spread those out. And then you could battle people. So you could say, I'm going to battle you, and you could pick one of those, and you had to battle it. And you would assign a referee who would come up with the situation and then figure out who won, and you had to say which skill you were using, and how you were using it. And then if so like the biggest of my skills had 3 next to them. And if you won, then the other person would lose 1 point. And that would continue until either somebody ran away, or, figuratively speaking, or one person's skill got down to 0. And it would stay at 0 for 30 minutes. I don't know, there was a lot of playing this game that went on. I did one with a guy on lunch on Friday. And then Saturday night at the bar, I did a couple. My record was 2-1. I won 2, and with the blinding chrome dome, mind you. And then I tried to use my imaginary people, and that didn't work out very well for my last one. Plus, the guy had put 7 on 1 skill, so he was so OP, and I only had 3. I didn't win that one, but it was fun. That was a fun time. The best part of SiglerFest was being able to be with A and Scott. We got to learn a lot about their business. On Friday, they did have a session about what they're trying to pitch to Hollywood, and the process of that was interesting. But the best part was hanging out with the people. These were all great people. We actually knew somebody that was there, a nice lady from Texas named Shirley, who we've actually interacted with for years on things. She's actually read the Borrowed Time stuff, and I was looking at emails to see what interaction we'd had this morning, and she actually, I believe, betaed for me Stolen Time. So we hung out with her quite a bit, sat with her, and got to talk with her quite a lot, and that was great fun. And then talked to Pondy a bit, but I also met a ton of new people. And introvert me, that's not necessarily easy to do, but we all had a common thread, and that made it fun. And it was cool seeing people whose names I knew because Sigler has used them in his books. It was kind of a weird disassociative experience because I know that name, but the image of them in my head does not match their physical image. One of them is a talking dolphin in Sigler's books, and the guy is not a talking dolphin when I met him. So just had a fantastic time hanging out with these folks, listening to Scott, playing games with him, BSing at the bar afterwards. It was a great time. And if you've read Scott's stuff, if you're into Scott's stuff, I would suggest trying to make it, because it is a blast. It is a blast. For what you get, it's the registration fee. They can't be making money at this, because you get a t-shirt, we had some goodies, we had some 80s stuff, because the theme was 80s, at least for bowling night, and some people really dressed up, and some people like me did not. They paid for the bowling, they paid for the pizza and crap that was served that night. They're paying a guy to come and do karaoke, run the karaoke rig. Plus the hotel room, plus the meeting room and all that. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I have added more Facebook friends in the last 4 or 5 days than I have probably added in the last 4 years. And it was just cool to see some people that whose names I've heard for a long time, like Steve Rickyberg. He does all the audio production for Scott, and I've heard his name for probably 10 years. And so I talked to him a little bit, and that was cool. There were some people whose names, there's a Facebook group that kind of goes along with this group, and I've been a part of that for a little while, and I've seen a lot of these names there, but didn't really know the people, and now I do. So it was a great time. I'm looking forward to going back next year. I've already reset the countdown on the phone for next year's SiglerFest, or when I think it's going to happen, assuming it happens the same weekend. And we're already making some plans of staying a little bit longer, either before or after, and seeing some of the other sites of Vegas, maybe catching a show. So yeah, it was a fun time, but now it's back to reality. But that's all I really had to talk about today. I will be back tomorrow. I'll be talking to you then. So, be seeing you.